Leo met Vivian in an interdisciplinary seminar on ethics held in a windowless lecture hall at the University of Nebraska, Omaha. He was 19, built of boundless potential and caffeine, majoring in post-structuralist philosophy. He saw the world as an endless, nuanced text awaiting interpretation. Vivian was 28, sharp-boned and pragmatic, back in college to finish her civil engineering degree after 5 years working entry-level jobs to afford the tuition. She saw the world as a series of verifiable inputs and measurable outputs. Their opposition was immediate, irresistible. Leo argued that the meaning of a bridge resided not in its tensile strength, but in the memory of the land it severed and the desire of the people who crossed it. Vivian countered, her voice low and steady, that the bridge meant absolutely nothing if the concrete failed and it plunged into the Missouri River. "You build the structure, Leo," she said one frigid November evening, tracing the condensation on her glass of cheap beer in a silent bar near Blackstone, "and I'll make sure the foundation doesn't crumble when reality hits it." Their arguments melted into intimacy. Leo was captivated by her certainty, a groundedness he desperately lacked. Vivian, in turn, found Leo's vast, sprawling idealism intoxicating. He treated her mind like a secret garden, not just a tool for calculating stress loads. The 9-year gap was not a chasm, but a difference in elevation. Leo lived for the future, a boundless horizon where time had no consequence. Vivian lived for the next year, the projected graduation date, the job interview, the mortgage application she hoped to submit before 30. Their shared apartment, smelling of drafting paper and obscure 20th century literature, became their sanctuary. But the world kept pressing in, specifically Omaha, solid and demanding. One night, after a massive snowstorm had blanketed the city in impossible quiet, they stood on her small balcony overlooking the dormant campus. "I love the way you look at the stars, Viv," he murmured, wrapping his arms around her waist, "like you're calculating their trajectory but also secretly wishing they were permanent." Vivian leaned back against him, the weight of her responsibilities heavy on her shoulders. "They are only permanent because we've defined the laws that govern them, Leo. Everything else decays, including time." She turned to face him, placing her hands gently on his face. He looked impossibly young, filled with the kind of hope that hadn't yet been dented by bills or compromise. "What happens when you finish your degree, Leo?" she asked softly. He shrugged, his eyes bright. "I'll write, teach, wander. We'll find a way to explore everything, together." Vivian smiled, a beautiful, devastating expression of knowing precisely how far apart they truly were. "I can't wander, darling. I have student debt that screams in precise, compounding interest. I need a job designing municipal water systems in this city, or one just like it, within 6 months. I need structure, a 401k, and the certainty that next month's rent will be covered by a salary, not a grant I might win." "But that's death, Viv," he whispered, pulling away slightly, the philosophical panic creeping in. "That's trading everything wonderful for safety." "No," she countered, her voice cracking only slightly. "That's life, Leo. The adult version. It requires choosing a shape and sticking to it. And I am already shaped. You are still water." The realization hung between them, colder than the Omaha air. Their love was profound, a fusion of intellect and body that neither had ever experienced, but it was built on fundamentally different geometries of time. He needed fluidity. She needed permanence. To force Leo into her orbit would mean crushing his potential. To join his would mean shattering the meticulous structure Vivian had sacrificed her 20s to build. The separation wasn't a fight, but a mutual, heartbreaking recognition of limits. They spent the following week in a state of quiet, agonizing tenderness. They memorized each other's scents, the specific rhythm of shared silence, knowing that these were moments they would rely on for years to define the standard of perfect connection. On the morning she moved her belongings out, Vivian found Leo sitting at the kitchen table, surrounded by his notebooks. He handed her a folded piece of paper. "It's a poem about permanence and impermanence." She slid the paper into her pocket, not trusting herself to read it aloud. She looked at him, 18 years old in the eyes of the world, but ancient and knowing to her. "You taught me how to read the world again, Leo. You showed me that even a foundation must be built to hold the weight of beauty, not just the weight of concrete. And you taught me that even the most abstract idea needs ground beneath it," he returned, a tear finally tracking a path down his cheek. They kissed, a final, lingering pressure that held all the grief of lost futures. Then Vivian picked up her boxes, containing the precise tools and calculations that defined her life, and walked out into the cold Omaha sunlight. Leo never tried to contact her again. He finished his degree, went to graduate school, and did indeed become a celebrated writer and wandering academic. He learned to incorporate structure into his arguments, remembering the sharp, pragmatic clarity Vivian had instilled in him. Vivian built her bridges. She secured her stability. She married a kind, predictable colleague. Her life was exactly what she had engineered it to be: safe, steady, successful. But sometimes, driving home late across the perfect, predictable span of a bridge she had designed, she would pull over and read the faded, creased poem she kept in her wallet. It was about the tragedy of two lines, parallel and endless, realizing they would never intersect, yet still defining the same beautiful, terrifying space between them. And in those quiet moments, she would know that the deepest foundations of her ordered life were not built on concrete, but on the brief, fierce memory of a philosopher boy who taught her how to truly feel the weight of existence.